Welcome back to Tips Farm. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of a review on a temu item, a little bit of a comparison on fuel types. This does come back to the kerosene lamps. One of my subscribers, Cody Smith 7621, actually sent me some of these little almost pixie-sized oil lamps. And let's go ahead and look at that now. So here they are. They're just little oil lamps. They are from Temu, so they are Chinese. They use this little, I think it's what, 3/16 inch rope. For all you metric guys, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to use a calculator to go and convert from American to metric. So but I'm just gonna show, putting the ropes in, as you can see with the, oh come on, focus, there we go, with the blackened marks. I have used these quite extensively now. I really do like them. They don't put out much light, but they put out just enough, at least with this off-road diesel. Yes, it might look like Kool-Aid, but this is the forbidden Kool-Aid. But today we're going to actually compare the forbidden Kool-Aid off-road diesel with the K1 kerosene, and just for grins, some lamp oil. My understanding is these two products right here are actually very, very similar. From what I've read, this is basically just a very clean version of this, so we'll see. Alright, to start, all you gotta do is just get that started, and then start twisting it up in. And then, that's all you gotta do. It's not that hard. I'll save you the time and do the other two off camera. Alright, so we got all three wicked up. If you wanted to, you can cut that so it's nice and flush crossed. Honestly, the flames end up being, or the wick ends up being right about there on the off-road diesel. So I mean, it shouldn't affect it all too much, whether it's nice and pretty or frayed out like that. Come on, focus. There you go. Yeah, that, I don't think it's gonna hurt it all too much, especially since it's gonna be down in like this. Alright, I'm gonna show how to fill these things up, and as you guessed it, these things are too tiny to not use this funnel. So yes, that does mean that there's going to be a little bit of cross-contamination. I'm not worried about that tiny amount of contamination because they all burn just fine. I'm going to have all the levels just touching the bottom of the funnel so that I know that they're all roughly the same height. There we go. That is the lamp oil. And now for the K1. Yep, and definitely have a way to clean things up. Keep fire away from it whenever you are filling these things up. The off-road, I actually have the jug out in my fire shack out near the shop, just in case anything does happen. None of these fluids are flammable. They're combustible. But why risk it? So before I go and start any of this, I'm going to get it cleaned up and then dispose of those paper towels. Alright, let me get that cleaned up. Alright, now actually installing these, it's very similar to the bigger oil lamps. You literally just drop the wick down in there and then screw it on. And then give it time to go and soak up all the fuel. With the off-road diesel, it becomes real easy because, or to tell, I mean, that wick is already starting to turn a little bit pink. So these other ones, you just have to wait till it, you know, looks wet. I'm gonna bring them all down to just poking out. And then right before I go to light it, I'll go and change you guys' viewing angle so you can go and see them side by side. But I'm going to give that probably about 5-10 minutes to really soak those wicks. Alright, so I've given the wicks enough time that they should have, you know, completely soaked. And I don't know if focus. You can see that my finger is now moist from the wick. And they're all like that. So I'm gonna bring them back down to, you know, right about there. And go ahead and light them off. And adjust. Because I don't want it smoky. And let's put little glass chimneys on. And I'm going to show you that tiny little amount of smoke right there. That black line right here. If I left this go for 30-40 minutes, this would actually start smoking out the house. So you want to make sure that if you want the maximum brightness, get it just before it starts smoking. And it's just a quick little turn of this little knob right here. Alright, so off quick glance, the K1 kerosene is definitely the taller of the flames, followed up with this lamp oil. The lamp oil is probably about 1 inch tall flame. This is about 1 1/4, almost 1.5 inch. Yeah, almost 1.5 inches tall of a flame. And the diesel, let's see if I can. And alright, I can get that one to a little bit more than 1/2 inch. But I've been running with the off-road, and that little bit of a flame, honestly, it's not bad. These ones definitely gonna put out more light. But let's see what the light turned off. Alright, so this actually puts out quite a bit of light. As you can see, you can clearly read the K1 kerosene, clean burn fuel. For heaters, lanterns, and stoves, you might be able to read the danger and the harmful or fatal. And this one's a little bit harder to read with the dark letters, but you can still make it out. So I mean, there's quite a bit of light here. Now, if we turn these down, set it basically to their minimums. Even with just the diesel one going, which I could. So the diesel actually does seem like it has a difficult time maintaining a steady flame. Sometimes I have to go and check up on them quite frequently. Like in the first 5 minutes of them being on, it's like I have to check them like every 30 seconds. Sometimes they'll start getting out of hand and smoking. Other times they'll start going real low. But once they get going, it's probably about, I don't know, every 20-30 minutes, just go and take a quick gander at them. But even with the diesel, you can make out the bigger words on the kerosene, and you can make out the bright words on the lamp oil. The name brand, it kind of just disappears. Maybe if I bring it up to it. Yeah. But that'd be a strain on the eyes a little bit. I mean, if you're right on top of it, but you don't want the flame right on top of you if you're trying to read a book. It's going to be, you know, over here. And at that point, this word just kind of disappears, but you can clearly read the lamp oil. And over here, you can still quite easily read the kerosene, clean burning fuel. Let's turn that down so they're all down basically at their minimums. And then crank the kerosene so it's brightest without smoking. And obviously it is much brighter. It's a much bigger flame, much easier to read. I don't know how well this is gonna come up. Yeah, even some of the darker areas, it's a little difficult to see on the camera. It's much easier to actually read in here in person, with the exception of the last E of the name brand. But I mean, that's kind of in a dark gray area anyway, so. And I think that's probably going to be the best light, just because that was the biggest flame. As far as color of these flames, they're all about the same color. Yeah, right there. I mean, but even from, you know, this distance away, it's easy to read. Not this distance, the light from here to over there. You know, it's a nice easy read. And then, you know, the nice thing about these is you can, you know, have a couple of them, kind of like just a regular candle. Unlike a candle, you know, I move around and I'd have to cover up that flame. That glass protects that flame, and you don't have to tiptoe from one place to another with the little light. So, I mean, as far as moving them, they are nice, especially if you have a power outage. As we can see, the diesel is the, you know, it's the worst. It's the dirtiest. It is the cheapest, especially if you're getting off-road. I didn't really see a change going from highway diesel to off-road diesel as far as the size or how quick it starts getting sooty. I did notice a change with the more expensive fuels, this being the second most expensive, and the actual lamp oil being the most expensive. With the price of that being the most expensive and it not having the biggest, brightest flame, I'm a little upset about that. You would think if you are, you know, purpose-built for one specific task, you should be the best at that task. But, well, maybe I have spoken too soon. It looks like the lamp oil is trying to take its throne from the K1. You know what? I might let these sit for about 10 more minutes and then come back and look at the light. Because the K1 looks like its flame might actually be going down and the lamp oil might actually be getting bigger. The diesel is definitely getting a little bit bigger without being as sooty. So there's definitely something to be had about that metal tube on the inside, you know, with heat and pulling the fuel up that wick. So I'll let these sit for about 10 minutes and come back to you. And we're back. Let's see. Will this go any higher? Not without getting smoky. Will this go any higher? Just a touch. Will this go any higher? Not really. Alright, so it looks like we have stabilized. The diesel, like I said, it does need to go and get checked every so often. The kerosene, I think, has retaken its claim at about a 1/4 inch taller than the lamp oil. But honestly, they all work great. Sure, you might need more of the diesel lamps if you're going to use diesel. I guess whatever you willing to spend the money on, whether it's the K1. If you do go that route, I would probably say try to find a gas station that actually sells kerosene. Or if you're real fancy, I guess you could go with the lamp oil, even though that is much cheaper than this, and it has a bigger flame. But they all put out light. They all, you know, help you through a power outage. So either way you go, you have light. Oh, and turning them off, I mean, that's real simple. You can go one of two ways. You can turn it all the way down and it goes out, or it goes out. So I actually do like these little temu oil lamps. They are small. They don't put out a lot of light. They definitely don't put out the same light as my big number 2s. Ever since I put out that first video, I kind of got addicted to the light of these oil lamps. I like them a lot better than like the fluorescent lights or the LED lights. It's, I don't know, it's like the light itself has soul. And it's kind of relaxing to just turn off all the electric lights and just turn on these oil lamps and just relax. Definitely something to be said about slower times. But, as always, have a great day.